Yeah.
6 o'clock. We'll wait. We'll wait for Lynn. That's great.
All right, break the silence, start this one.
All right, so it is 6 o'clock, so we will call our meeting to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. Roll has been taken? Okay. Next, we'll entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes of the November 5, 2019 work session and the November 12, 2019 regular session.
Support.
And motion support, is there any comments or questions? Any changes, corrections? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion is carried. Now we'll skip all the way down to G, go to resolutions. And it's consideration of a resolution to approve a budget amendment request to increase the capital outlay line item of the Elma Public Library budget for fiscal year 2020 budget by $1,000. And it looks like that is to a donation to hang some art.
Came
Is that what it's
from the
for?
Community Arts Center for some improvements that they had, because they use it so much, they donated their one in there, and there's gonna be some cap ends and some different things that they're gonna use. Just to take out the ends of the bookshelves and all that.
Oh, okay.
And the money was donated by them, and we had to move it from one spot to the other.
The expenditure has to match the.
Yeah, has to match.
Okay. Our gratitude to the Arts Center people, I guess, is the proper, the Elm Community Arts Center, who's building a nice facility in downtown Elm, right? That's the same group? That's,
Same group,
Yeah.
yes.
so that's an exciting project too. All right, so did you get a motion?
Motion.
You do have it, okay. Motion support, any comments or questions? Hearing none, those in favor? Opposed, same sign, motion is carried. Reports, we have the city manager report for November 22, 2019.
Move to accept.
Move to receive.
Yep.
Okay, motion and support. Okay.
Support, sorry.
All right. So did you have any?
Yeah, I
cover?
just think it's appropriate that part of this, that I make sure everybody understands that after the Leading Change Building Communities conference that we had last, in October, in early October, and I think we've discussed this a little bit, it was about, a lot of good things came out of that, and it's like, okay, now, the action portion that has to start, and who has the resource, and how are we really gonna make sure that we're managing this properly and going down the road, so, we still talk every week, the leadership group, and unbeknownst to me at the time, that the group had already been talking about Randy Thielen, who was our facilitator that day from Denver that had come in for things. They had talked some things about him continuing on working with us. And I think it's important that the college, Elma College, Masonic, and then Mid-Michigan Medical Center, Gratiot, have all decided to use their funds to contribute to a year's worth of him working with us to formulate that plan. So it's really nice to see the commitment level of the folks that we've partnered with on this to make sure that that comes to fruition in the end. And they pointed up, so we've got a year of doing that. So just so you know, we're looking at January 27th, which will be the follow-up, and we'll bring people back for a breakfast, and this will be that portion where we're all wondering where's it going to come from, where I get to say, I'll be involved in this, I'll be involved in that. And what we're vetting through right now is the 4 or 5 different main goals of the people, place, and the prosperity that we had talked about that day. So,
This guy, was this the guy that had done the work in Denver?
in Denver. And
But he'd also been in Zeeland, Iowa?
He'd been in Holland.
Yeah.
Holland, and then Omaha.
Wasn't he did do the thing about...
He used a lot about Zealand. He used Zealand as a good example, but he'd been in Holland and then went to Omaha, and now he's in Denver. And so, and as I say, we have phone conferences on Friday mornings as we continue to work down this process. So, nice to see the commitment of our partners in this.
Great initiative. Anything else you want to highlight for us, or?
Just we're a little closer maybe to bringing that Connecting Entrepreneurial Conference to the city next year. Got our fingers crossed. We've submitted our application, met with them the other day. I think we submitted we're giving them a strong application. We'll leave it at that, but we'll know probably early June. It's coming here next month.
Very good. Okay, any comments or questions from Matt on that? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is received, or the report is received, excuse me. Moving to appointments. First up, we have consideration of a resolution appointing Sarah Anderson to the position of Elma City Clerk effective December 23rd, 2019, on the recommendation of the city manager.
Support.
Motion and support, okay. Comments or questions? Keep them positive, folks.
Hallelujah. Yay.
She hasn't actually.
Yeah, she hasn't.
You know what? I'll stand behind my hallelujah.
Well, with that, I think we're going to take a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Congratulations, sir. I'd say welcome aboard, but you've been aboard, so.
Right. Right. Thank you, everyone, for your
Yes.
support.
Yeah.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you,
I'm
Sarah.
excited about it.
So early. Not to say that we're not going to do it.
We don't get to make Sheila stay.
What's her name?
No, we don't get to make her stay, so I know she's leaving, so.
No, we couldn't make her stay, so. Next up, we have consideration of a resolution allowing myself to appoint 2 members of the Elm City Commission to the Personnel Committee.
Move approval. Support.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Yes, we do. Do we need to probably make the appointment now? Is that appropriate?
Yeah.
Okay. And Michelle, you said you were going to be, you agreed to it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I believe, Roger, you also agreed
I
to
did.
this. All right. So those would be the 2 appointments.
Thank you very much. We'll get together, now we'll tell you what you signed up for. I think it'll be very helpful, as we're going through a lot of, still changes, but I think it'll be really helpful to, we've asked the question up here a number of times about policy manuals, different things like that. This will be a place for us to vet a lot of this stuff and be able to get it in a more organized manner. So thank you very much for that. And we're gonna meet tomorrow at 7 if you can. Just kidding.
Wait.
Of course not, the meeting's at 6.
We'll meet on Roger's bus. We'll go along for the ride. Everybody's driving.
I think you might want to reconsider.
No, thank you guys both for doing this. It's very important, so we'll help the city along. All right, with that, move down to appropriations. Anyone in favor of paying our bills?
Move and pay the appropriations.
Support.
Okay, motion support. Does anyone have any questions or comments on any of the items on the list? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion is carried. Commissioner comments. Roxanne, would you like to lead off tonight?
Since I was last to arrive, first to come.
Last day, first out, right?
No, that Sheila, you know how much I adore you and have thought you've done a fabulous job, and I appreciate all you've done. But I'm so thrilled, Sarah, that you have volunteered to step up to the plate.
Volunteers.
Well, I mean, with pay. No, well,
You were in line and everybody else got back.
either way, however it happened, I'm very happy. Very happy.
Thank you.
That's all.
Mr. Mott.
Congratulations and ho, ho, ho.
It's coming
Won't
close.
be long.
Okay,
Come
Roger.
home downward.
There you go.
Congrats, Sarah.
Thank you.
Great things, I think. The Community Arts Center was mentioned a little while ago. I wanted to mention that is within a couple of weeks now of its grand opening. I think it's December the 5th. Stick your head in there as you're walking through. They've turned that into a really, really neat place. That will be the Community Arts Center has moved. Been hard to find because you never knew where it was going to be. It was in one place for a month, and then they moved to someplace for 6 months, and any place they could find donated space. And they finally purchased this building and have turned it into a center where a lot of the classes that have now been all over and are becoming very, very popular, all kinds of art classes and displays of art and stuff will be centralized there in the Community Arts Center. So take a look in there. Any of those of you who have not yet heard of it, the Community Thanksgiving Dinner, First Presbyterian Church, day after tomorrow. We're anticipating 500 plus. So, big deal.
How many years you been doing that, Roger?
28.
28. But who's counting, right?
Who's counting? Well, we're trying to figure it out the other night. This will be our 29th year that my family has pretty much done the kitchen, so
It's a
very
great thing.
pleased with
So.
that. Yeah.
Thank you, Roger, for doing that.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Really. A lot of work, but my pleasure. Joanne took over the signing up of volunteers this year. Craig has pretty well bowed out of it because the Commission on Aging no longer has a function in it since Craig is no longer a function of the Commission on Aging. So our church has taken over it. And the sign up for meals has gone into our church office, and Joanne has been taking the volunteers and has had about 100 people, I think, wanting to volunteer. Many who have done it before, and new people who just want to get involved. It truly is a community affair. It really is. So, looking forward to it.
Wonderful thing. Okay. Audra.
All right, congratulations. Thank you, Sheila, for helping Michelle and I the last year. A lot. Community Arts Center open house is the 6th.
6th, I was
Friday
close.
night, I believe 6 to 8, if that sounds right. I
think you're right.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. And then I would just say happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Michelle.
Again, Sheila, thank you. She's been my little email friend for about a year and a half now. And so Sarah, watch out, I'll get your email. Congratulations. Also, I wanted to publicly thank Kim Powell for all her work for the police department and how many lives children's lives she helped while she was an employee with the police department in the city of Elma. And she will be greatly missed. And happy Thanksgiving. I'll think of something as soon as you start.
Well, I know, I mean, so, either you or Roger, so it's good. But happy Thanksgiving, everyone, Sarah, congratulations, Sheila, for doing this year. And also just in terms of Kim Powell, she was a tremendous asset for the students at the college as well. And I wish everyone a happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Sheila.
Oh, I'm fine.
You always are, right? No doubt. Tony.
Well, I just want to thank you, Sheila, for everything you've done. I don't know that we all realize how much knowledge Sheila possesses, how much she's helped every meeting. I mean,
Can we get your phone number when you leave?
No, it's gonna be unlisted.
I'm going to have your phone number.
You're going to be missed. And Sarah, you're going to do a great job. I'm sure you got big shoes to fill, but I'm sure you're up for it. Just one other thing too. The City of Elma lost a great individual recently, Jim Navarre, and I just wanted to just mention that his funeral was beautiful. The memorial was unbelievable. This is a great, great individual, and we're going to miss him.
So it's Howard Rittinger.
Other than that, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And the City of Elma's got quite a bit, I think, to be thankful for.
You bet.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, those are all nice. Friday after I did my report for it and sent it out, there's been a couple things that I think it's worth noting because some of the discussions we've had recently. I did receive an email yesterday morning from Ken Heibel, who's the city manager in Clare. And interestingly enough, some of the topics that came up at our work session when we were discussing the lead and copper and how is this ever going to work with the changes that the state has put with some unfunded mandates for us to do. Ken's kind of taken the bull by the horns, and actually I had a chance to meet with him this morning. We were gonna be trying to set up a meeting in December. We're trying to get it in before Christmas to bring some of the legislators together so that we have the opportunity to voice our concerns that the cost of replacing these lines is prohibitive to the city. And so if everybody remembers some of the change that's going on with the lead and copper, is that by law, we're going to now be responsible for a lot more of that replacement than we ever were. And there's very limited ways of, well, not very limited ways, there's only one way for us to recoup any of that cost, and that comes back down to water rates to do in some of these. And so we're really gonna ask these folks how they expect us to get through this and how they expect our citizens to get through this with some of the mandates that have been put on us. So I'm looking forward to that. We're trying to get it in by December 19th is what we're looking to try. Although we haven't had the greatest success with responses yet from everybody. I know it's a tough time of year, but if not, we'll do it right after that. And I just wanted to, Cindy, you're here. I think the timing excuse me, is really good to look at and say, if you haven't had a chance to see this yet, then I'll bring it out because you're going to have to get up. I know you weren't too excited to do that. But, come on up. I'll let you go ahead. You guys, well, this is yours. This is your beautiful. You don't know, if you haven't heard the quilts, the quilts all around the county and everything that's going on, this is the lady that has made ours. And I think this is absolutely beautiful that we'll be making a spot for it out on the outside of the building here so that everybody can see it. And thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And a second one for the library,
Yes.
which I hope to have finished by the 20th for Mr. Dinwiddie. So it'll be similar, change in the middle, we'll have an inkwell and a book, but to keep the consistency for the city buildings. So
We can get on the quilt trail now.
Do the designs in the corner symbolize anything? The green?
it's a Scottish thistle.
Okay.
Will you guys smile at me? I've got some of you talking, but Greg's trying to feel out of it. Too late, Greg. Too late.
You brought us a little print, but it didn't do it justice until you get to see this. This is outstanding, and everybody's already bouncing in my office and around today of saying where we can put this on the outside of the building. So we're going to figure that out real well.
Well,
Thank
it's
you
my
so much.
pleasure. You're so welcome. Thank you.
And my last piece, we've had 2 meetings in a row that have been rather short and sweet and to the point, which has been really nice. But Eric and I were talking today. We know coming up in the next month things are going to get really, really busy. We've got some really good things, I think, on the horizon. Some development things and different things that we'll be able to start bringing to you folks. So we'll be getting busy here soon. So these were just nice little breaks.
Absolutely. So also, Sarah, congratulations again. Sheila, thank you. You've been wonderful. So we do appreciate it. You carried us a long time here, so. I don't know. Well, just wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. So, open it up to the public. If anybody'd like to address the commission, please go to the podium, state your name and address, and share your thoughts. Who would like to be first?
First of all, thank you to the commission for the work you do and for giving me this time. My name is Julie Fairchild. I live at 112 West Marshall Street here in Elma. And I'm here to address the commission regarding yard waste pickup and leaf collection schedules. Currently, the yard waste pickup schedule concludes before the end of October. I'm asking if the commission could please consider extending the yard waste pickup to at least to go as long as the leaf collection runs, and perhaps even into the first week of December. For the past 3, maybe 4 years, I've been storing yard waste in my garage all winter. And unfortunately, this is potentially a habitat for small animals. I am still picking up yard waste and working in my yard usually until the end of November, and sometimes into December, now that the weather's changing. The leaf fall collection schedule doesn't seem to coincide with the weather. With the changes in weather we have been experiencing, it appears the problem exists because the leaves are not falling to the ground in time for residents to meet the city deadline for leaf collection. It is not that residents are lazy or just not doing it. It is a problem of the leaves not falling off the trees until later in the year than has been the case in the past. Both days last weekend and on Monday in my neighborhood, leaf blowers were being used. Standing in my front yard, I see 9 neighbors' homes with huge piles of leaves on the curb. The last day for leaf collection in my area was November 14th. And that schedule hasn't worked very well where I'm living, not for years. And it's not just in my neighborhood. This problem exists all over the city. There are piles of leaves in front of homes that will not be collected yet this year. And I don't know if you've noticed it. I don't know how you could not see that. But if you look at the map that was distributed about when it's getting picked up, it's just not going to happen. Now the leaves don't get picked up and they remain there all winter until there is a strong wind or snowplow comes through and blows all the leaves back into their yards. Having the piles of leaves there certainly cannot be very good for the lawn, and it is not at all aesthetically pleasing to look at while it remains there until next year in the spring. So I'm here to ask the City Commission, please, if it would consider putting this issue on the agenda for consideration of extending the yard waste and leaf collection schedule, at the very least, perhaps creating a more flexible schedule contingent upon weather conditions. I understand the Commission would have budgetary considerations that would be a factor in resolution of this problem. But according to the City Alma Code of Ordinances in Chapter 46 under Solid Waste, Article 2, Storage and Collection, Section 4625 stipulates that, quote, "The City Commission may adopt regulations necessary to implement the provisions of this article and to provide for collection and disposal of refuse in a safe, sanitary, and efficient manner," unquote. I would contend yard waste and leaf collection process in the city could be handled in a more efficient manner. So I was just hoping that you would consider that, putting it on your agenda for discussion. I've been dealing with this for years, and now, right now, I can stand in my yard and there's leaves in everybody's yards that it's just going to remain there.
They're continuing to collect.
They're still picking.
They'll pick up until they can't.
Especially due to the weather issues that we have had this month.
Okay, so then when would I expect they'll be in
From there.
my neighborhood?
We're looking to do it, extend it into next week. That's our temporary stopping point is into next week, because the snow delayed us
Yeah,
for a few days
right.
for snow plowing because of personnel issues.
We don't have any way of knowing that. And then
Correct.
when you have the leaf collection, that's one thing. Can I still put my yard waste out in containers and bags?
Not yard waste, because we're
Oh.
on leaf pickup right now.
Yeah, see, that ends in October and that just doesn't really work. So
But isn't
maybe
it
it's just the
to
yard
correct- well,
waste.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but it's the same people that do leaf pickup, yard
It's-
waste, and
it's-
snow removal. So if
Yeah.
they're focusing on
Oh,
yard
I see.
waste, then they have to
They-
switch to
We
leaf. That's
transition
not
it
enough
because
people.
I know.
There's only one crew to do all three jobs.
Right, right, and so that's the issue. It's not that we're not willing to do that, but I think it's the same 6
So
or
they
8
can
people
only,
that are
they're
doing
only focused on one
which.
Which one?
Yes.
job at a time.
Mhm.
Well,
You're wondering why they can't do them all at once, right?
well, yeah, I'd like to put, I have 2 containers and 2 bags full of yard waste in my garage. And a lot of that's came out of my yard. Some of it is leaves. I have a yard that the leaves just blow through my yard, lucky for me, but they end up in my driveway. And then they're all done picking up the leaves while I'm still, cleaning up my yard and working outside.
We've all had that same problem. I've got my leaves all ready to go, but there's still a whole bunch of brush that now I have no place to get rid of because the suckalucks won't pick up the brush.
Right.
And if they have
So
to
it's-
start plowing snow, it's the same truck that's gonna be plowing snow. They're gonna,
Does the city have an area where they would, when they actually pick up yard waste, they go and dump it, that residents would be allowed to go and do that on their own if the city's no longer picking it up? Is that
That's
a possibility?
something we can look into.
Because I could do
We used to have
that.
that.
I just don't want it
We
in
used
my
to be able to do
garage.
The downside to that is people dumping trash.
yeah.
Well, yeah, wouldn't there be somebody there when a resident
Well,
would?
they would also be driving the
Probably the way to do it
snow.
would be- If there's a way to do it, it would be, is there a place and we would have hours that
Yeah.
someone there to make sure people don't put their trash in.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to tell these guys how to run it.
No.
Because as you can hear, it's the people in the equipment for each job, it's not like. they-
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand
So,
that.
I would think you'd want to have almost like a December 1st, last year's yard waste company.
That would be
Yeah,
nice.
story, you know.
That would work.
We had
One-
sticks would be kept for the year, I mean, they're wonderful souvenirs.
Or one last day to pick up the yard waste, if those people have to use that equipment on an opposite day, they're finishing the leaves. If there was just like one more day, that would be nice.
No, we could look to,
We can-
and that's what we do, we could look to put some solutions that might work and see what you guys think. But
Okay.
It is tough, because we have one with limited amount of people, and I know nobody likes to hear the resource question, but this really is one of the
I
resource
understand,
issues.
I understand that. That's why I said I realize our budget
Yeah,
constraints,
we
and
can
I
look into it.
appreciate your time, and I appreciate you thinking about it.
Be happy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I know, was it an email or was it on the website that you were gonna continue to
It was on
extend the?
Facebook site.
Facebook
or
site.
Yeah, right, so
Facebook. It was online.
I'd seen it someplace today.
Okay, if it's on your website page, I would see it, but I don't use Facebook,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
Is it on the website too?
Not yet,
It
because,
is, it's on the website.
oh yeah, we did put that one up
It's-
today.
yeah, it's on the homepage.
That it was
On the
extended
It's
or
on
something?
several other pages.
But the last few years, the leaves haven't fallen off.
I know, that's
They've
what I'm
been
saying.
sticking,
With
so maybe
climate
it should
change,
delayed.
It's
No, yeah,
gotta be pushed.
there has been a change, they definitely fall later than they used to.
Yeah.
Last year, the
Maybe it's
first
something we
trip
need to look at
around,
the
the
calendar.
first trip the city made around town, there was nothing. There was nothing.
This was, and then this was strange, the snowfall and the amount of snow we got this year
Yes,
created a
that
really
was
different.
right.
And I do have to say it as long as it's come up, because I mentioned it in our staff meeting on Monday. We had probably 10 to 12 either emails or calls that came to the city of people actually praising the guys that were out there, the crews that were out there picking up the leaves
Yeah.
with all the snow and ice on top of it. And I'll be frank, for us to get 10 to 12 really positive calls about something shows that that's a really good sign, that people are happy, so. But I do think there's some changes definitely in the way our weather is and stuff, so we'll take a look at some of that.
Thank you,
See.
appreciate your time, thank you.
Okay, who would like to be next? Okay, seeing nobody, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Hi.
We are adjourned, thank you very much, have a great evening.
Just some ideas that I've got.
Slack. Here it is.
Yeah, I'm not doing that one.